Remember this, the running battles over the poll tax, a hated and hugely controversial measure introduced by Mrs Thatcher, which eventually had to be abandoned in the face of public anger. And yet, if you ask most people what was the poll tax actually about, they probably couldn't tell you, but it doesn't matter because it became more than a policy. It became a symbol of what critics claimed was uncaring, arrogant, out-of-touch government. And the question is this really, could tax credits become a poll tax Mark II? OK, so the cuts to tax credits haven't provoked riots in the same way as the poll tax, but they have caused widespread anger. Why? Well, I went to the Bird in the Bush nursery in South London to talk to some parents to find out. What difference would it make to you if you were to lose tax credits?
It could be £200, £300, but that impact is going to be very high. It just means I won't be able to provide that well for my daughter.
At times they say they're helping working parents. I don't see how that is helping working parents. Even at the moment, as we're getting it, we're still struggling. So how is that going to help us?
The younger generation, they want to, buy homes. They want to, study abroad and stuff like that. And all of that costs money. So if we're literally just working to pay for our childcare, how are we meant to, move up in the world?
And back at Westminster, just like with the poll tax, the planned cuts to tax credits have alarmed some Tory MPs.
I am not interested in the colour of the government who created a bloated welfare state. That is in the past. I don't care whose fault it is. But I do know one thing. It is not the fault of the recipients of tax credits.
It's punishing people who are going out there and trying to work and do the right thing, and that just does not sit right with me, so that's something that I could not support.
This policy was a mistake. One can only think that because I don't think anybody in any party in this House would deliberately have impoverished the working poor with dependent families.
So why are some Tories so upset by these cuts to tax credits? Well, again, we have to go back to Mrs Thatcher. Part of her success lay in appealing to ordinary working families. Mr Cameron and Mr Osborne would like to do the same, to make the Tories the party of working people. But it's difficult to do that when you're cutting support for working people.
They've been trying to portray themselves as the party of people who are doing the right thing, going out to work. And now those people who are out to work, who only perhaps have £100 or £200 at the end of the month that makes them feel clear and secure, are going to lose that. And we're looking at something like 3.2 million households losing over £1,300 a month, over the year. That's a lot of money. If you're really going to argue for, the Conservative Party being a party of the workers, don't penalise those who work.
It's a cry already taken up by the Labour Party and some newspapers. So could tax credits be the next poll tax? Well, I've come to the building where most MPs have their offices to talk to the man who was Mrs Thatcher's advisor at the time of the poll tax and who actually warned her to her face, don't introduce the poll tax.
I advised Margaret Thatcher not to do it. I felt that without low, modest numbers for the tax, it would not be easily saleable to the British people. But it was one of those not very common occasions when she didn't like my advice, and we agreed to differ.
Looking back, how much damage do you think the poll tax did to Mrs Thatcher?
Knowing the Conservative Party very well, it was a minority of MPs who were worried about her European views. Her European views are pretty popular with most Conservatives. But the poll tax wasn't. The poll tax did become lethal and toxic, and her name was very strongly associated with it.
How seriously do you take the danger that the tax credit cuts could become another poll tax?
No, I don't think it will, because the poll tax was only deeply damaging once they did it.
But back at the nursery in South London, the parents seem in no mood to forgive. Do you think the decision that Mr Osborne has made on tax credits, would you be able to trust the Tories after this?
The next election, I'll find it very hard to even pick, a particular party.
I will forgive him, but again, I'll be scared that he might come up with anything to just make us miserable.
When it comes to middle class or lower class citizen, it seems like we're always the people that always takes the burden the most.
A lot of families have kind of gained from tax credits. So why would you say you want to take it away?
I feel like they're not aware of people that are like working class, people like us. You know, I don't think they're aware of our situations, our way of living. It's quite upsetting.
And perhaps the row over tax credits, like so many political storms, will simply blow over. The risk, though, is that whatever the money or compromise George Osborne comes up with, like the poll tax, maybe some people will never forgive or forget.